and welcome to Gerety Talks. My name is Lucia Ongay and I am the co-founder of Gerety Awards. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for our weekly episodes where we chat with some of the marketing and creative industries through changemakers. I'm very happy today to welcome our guests from the creative scene in India. So today we have Bindu Menon, the CEO of Pointblank Advertising. Hi, Bindu. Welcome.
Hello. Hi.
Mumita Pal, Senior Creative Director at FCB India.
Hi.
Welcome. And Gazal Jain, Creative Director, Havas Worldwide Mumbai.
Hi. Hello.
So welcome and thank you all for joining us today. So let's start talking a little bit about your roles and your agencies. Can you tell us a little bit about them and what you think are today the biggest challenges? Bindu, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. I'm the founder and CEO of an independent specialized healthcare advertising agency, Pointblank Advertising. Healthcare is a bit different from all the other categories because here it's a very regulated environment, and that itself brings in some challenge. So a lot of domain expertise is required, particularly because a lot of times, our target audience they are also experts, they are doctors, they are healthcare specialists, and sometimes they are consumers, they are patients, they are caregivers, they are hospital administrators. So it could be public health, it could be funders. So that being in that segment inherently comes with a lot of challenges. It has been fun, yeah, but again, it was for the first time at Gerety. I was part of a jury that was not only healthcare but was a mix of all the other categories. So for me personally, it was a great thing to be here and be part of something that is not in my domain, but it was still fun learning from all the other people who are part of advertising in other segments. So yeah.
Great. Moumita, would you like to go on?
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, I think as Bindu said, one big, most amazing thing was to be in the same room with all these wonderful women, right? And I also loved what Gerety stands for. It never asked us for, oh, because you're a woman, give us the woman POV. It just meant give your POV. And I think I wasn't surprised. I won't say I was surprised, but I really like the fact that it's regular ads and it's our point of view and how that can sometimes give you such a great perspective on things, right? So that was amazing. And coming back to your question, Lucia, the thing is, I think FCB is one of world's oldest ad agencies, and it is in India alone. I think it's been there for over, I think, almost 70 years now. So it's and we've been independent for only 76 years, and then after that there is an FCB. So I feel like I'm really honored. I'm always kind of proud to be associated with this agency and the work that they do. In my role particularly, I feel that um, you know I think we are done now proving that okay, we can write. I think I started as a writer, but when you come to a leadership position, especially as a woman, I think that as women we tend to overcompensate. I think we overcompensate at every stage. As writers, I remember that I would sometimes not be given the equal sometimes not given the equal opportunities when it comes to brief. So I remember that there was a car brief. I was working on a car brand, and they said that, okay, you can probably skip this one because this is about 13 or 14 years ago.
Really?
They said that,
Really?
yeah, they did. And they said that, okay, let it be, why don't you work on your chocolate brand or whatever,
Um,
and it's not too far. I mean, it's not like it happened 30 years ago. It happened in 2010 is what I can remember. And from there to where we are today, I'm so glad that,
yeah.
I don't, that doesn't exist anymore. And what concerns, I mean, there are concerns as well. I think more and more women are, I think there are very few creative leaders. Like when I mean leaders, I mean in my position there aren't many, at least in all the mainline agencies and all of these. There is a serious dearth of women leaders at my position, but I think that's where we need to work, where that's where Gerety comes in, and that's where that room full of women really, really, I mean, I enjoyed that, because now I need to see more women, I need to work with more women, and I need to encourage other women to keep working and never stop working. So I would say that's what I'm trying to do with my role here at FCB.
Cool. Gazal?
Hi. So I would first introduce myself. So I work at Havas. I'm creative director there. And I think Havas has been, obviously it's a French company, but we're kind of growing across the world now. It's really big there. It's not as big in India right now, but we're getting there. We're pretty much trying to do our best right now, which is pretty cool. I wouldn't say it's like as big as FCB, but yeah, we will get there. And I was also in FCB once upon a time. So yeah. Actually, about women, like moving to a leadership position, like I recently went for this award function, the Young Guns, and it was really surprising because, like, all the people, like all the, pioneers of advertising, they've always been men. And I still remember that first row where I was like, when I was gonna go and get my award, they stand like they're all sitting and all the biggies are just men. And that was just surprising to see because, like, you don't see women in that position, and I think that's what we're all here to do. We really want women to
Yeah.
kind of get
Absolutely.
there,
Yeah.
because we want the first seat as well, because that literally the first row, and like I don't know why, but that kind of like just shook me a little. I was like, okay, but I guess we'll get there. And I think what Gerety is also doing is great, because we're not like trying to discriminate. We're not saying that we have to only show specific ads to, like, women or men. We're just saying that, women need to also kind of, reach that leadership position. So yeah,
I'm
hope we get
strategically
there
doing
soon.
my I'm strategically doing my client's promotion here.
Women have to work so hard.
Yeah,
Huh?
subtle. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's interesting
So yeah.
Oh,
that
and
I
you
really love.
mentioned. Sorry,
sorry.
go on.
Yeah.
No, I was just
Uh,
saying that, but like one thing that I really appreciate also is that at Havas, like, people are actually taking that effort to kind of put women in those leadership positions. So like recently I got selected to go for this, leadership program from Cannes, which was only for women. And the whole idea was that women across the country kind of come together and represent. So like I like the fact that Havas took that step as well, like because they were sending women, like different women, so that they could kind of learn how to become better leaders, how they could, like, reach that leadership position. And yeah, I mean, it was only for women, so that was also really cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
regarding what you said, Mumita, it's about the perspective. That's what it's an important message to pass, because some people understand that because there are only women in the jury, the only ads they need to enter is like campaigns targeting
Related work.
women, or
Yeah.
or lady ads or these kind of things. And that's interesting because of course you are first professionals in the creative industries, and then happens that you're all women, but we are interested in showing that your point of view matters a lot. So talking about the Indian creativity scene, how would you define Indian creativity? Do you think there is something particular that it makes it immediately recognizable?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think Bindu, you want to go first? I think let's follow that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
See, I think, I was a bit, this question really got me thinking, as in, what is really different about Indian storytelling? And personally, I think, Indian advertising. So I think that, storytelling is built into the Indian, ecosystem. See, whether it's religion, whether it's festivals, or it is, mythology, or anything. we have a form of storytelling is built in. There are so many stories that are being told, and the whole today's advertising I see, tries to borrow from that. I mean, takes that basic storytelling culture and brings it to modern brands and situations, and so it's beautiful to see how that context has changed, and yet it remains. Those traditional things come, and there is a very modern way of saying those stories, and it's brilliant. Diversity is already built into the Indian ecosystem. We already have, so it's not new. When we talk of diversity today globally, it always means including somebody. But here in India, there are so many languages, so much of culture, so many states, each state having their own festivals, so many religions. We all coexist. So India is not one country, but so many
Yeah.
countries coming together. So I think that is what makes Indian advertising stand out. It's the beautiful way of telling stories, and not necessarily being steeped in culture, but very very modern, uh, and very relevant, and talking about today's issues, but yet bringing those very unique formats. Unique craft. Some of the work you see has got that craft built into the advertising production as well. So I think that is what makes Indian advertising stand out for me.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree. Like Bindu said, every 10 kilometers our language changes, right? You
Oh
go,
God.
the taste of water changes. So
Yeah,
we are that diverse. We have so many stories that
yeah,
we never run out of them. But I think the other thing, I absolutely agree with Bindu, so I'm not going to repeat that. That is definitely one reason and one differentiator, core differentiator. And the other thing is that, what we were taught, even as kids in advertising, that I think I see American advertising and I see European advertising. I see all of this and I see that they are very their first approach is functional. This is my product, this is what it does. Again, this is my product and this is what it does, and let's talk about that and find interesting ways to talk about it, right?
yeah,
But in India, I think in advertising we were always taught come from an insight, find an insight, find where it comes from, and the insight will definitely take you. Like today we were discussing something and it just we had to, if let's say America had to advertise for an underwear, right, and they would just start talking about how comfortable it is, or do a smart song, and they'll show one guy running from coming out of a girl's house, sneaking out of a girl's house so the father doesn't catch him. They'll do these things, whereas India will say that, what, because our country is so crowded and the country is so full of, there's so many people, that you always find yourself adjusting in different places, right? So you are adjusting in a crowded bus. You have to, someone will say, why don't you adjust and shift a little bit so I can make room for myself and I can also sit. So they took that insight, they took that word, and then out of all the, they'll show that, okay, you adjust here, you adjust here. In India, the word adjust has many meanings. So if you are eating and your plate is full of food objects, you'll make room. Making room for another item is also called adjusting. Why don't you adjust it, right? So that's how we use the word. And then they landed on, why are you adjusting your underwear? Just pick a better word. So they landed from all these, and they'll show this one person feeling like very uncomfortable with this brief. And then so I feel like whether it's humor or it's emotion, which by the way, we are great at when it comes to emotional work, I think the insight and sometimes just finding that right chord, because in such a diverse country to come up with one insight is so difficult. But
Yeah.
that's where our work, I think that's where we are experts, because we end up finding what everybody finds relatable, right? I think Indian advertising nails it. And surprisingly, I feel like even when we talk about diversity and inclusion, even at the global level, because Bindu mentioned it, I think India is leading the world when it comes to advertising for LGBTQA community. I think India is India's nailed transgender communication and how. You know, my I work for Uber, and my the global CCO on Uber, Lucinda Barlow, she said that India is leading the transgender advertising. You know, any trans work that we are doing is incredible. So they wanted a story from us, and for us, the Australia market. And I feel like that there is an example of how India is just perfect when it comes to insight mining. I think that is a core differentiator.
Yeah.
That's super interesting. It's true that India is so huge and yeah, changing the taste of water or the language every 10 kilometers. I love
Every 10 kilometers, yeah.
And food.
It's true. It's not even exaggerated. It's true. The dialect changes.
Gazal?
Yeah, I think pretty much everything has been covered, quite honestly. I think I don't know if those are the pros or cons of coming last.
So now you go first.
Yeah,
No,
you
no,
go
no,
first
no, let
now.
me be third.
Good.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying anything there. No, but I think the one thing that I still feel like, I think Indian advertising is great, and I think how Bindu and Moumita kind of, said what they said. There's one thing I just still feel that I wish we could do a little better is that we could be a little more ballsy when it comes to advertising. Like I feel like India kind of lacks there because there are times when you just don't like hit that nail, like when you want to like just go and do something seriously ballsy. There are a lot of sentiments that you have to take care, because India, again, like
No, we
everybody
do,
said,
and then we get banned. Then the
then
ad
we
gets,
get banned, yeah, and then
yeah,
we are supposed
it
to take
gets
our ads
banned.
down, which I mean, is not the
Yeah.
best thing, because as a creative person you do not want your creative process to get, I don't know, like you don't want these little breaks in the middle. And that, I guess, is the only thing that I wish we could kind of get better at, because I think sometimes advertising is a way to kind of tell the truth as much as you can, but obviously, it's just a way, it's like a means of doing it. So yeah, I guess that. But other than that, I guess all the positives have been covered. So I went to the negative. But
Now,
other
next
than
time
that,
you begin. I think we start
no,
with
no,
this.
no, 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 no. Let's keep it like this.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, and you spoke a little bit about your experience as a part of the jury for Gerety, and your experience. And you've all been on the jury for many awards. So what do you think makes a campaign award worthy, or what do you look for when you're judging?
So I think Moumita said, talked of insight. For me, it's always that, it's not just creativity. That is, of course, that is it's important to have something compelling. But if an ad is based on a very strong insight, then that is the first thing that you look for, and that's what really catches your attention. Of course, other things like the impact it makes in human, so the human impact it makes, the business impact it makes, and then the creativity, and of course the craft. So I think for me, these are the there are see, you can't. Now, what happens is, although I say all this, sometimes a piece of work comes and you cannot classify it saying, oh, this was great inside. You just know that this works for you. So this is intellectualizing something, but here, there, I think sometimes we were all there, and when we look at something, we all there was no words were exchanged, and we just knew whether this was in or out. So that says it all for us. So yeah, but
That's true.
if I were to answer that question, yeah, I think insight and the impact would come very high up there. Creativity, of course, and the craft. So,
Yeah. Do I go now? Okay. Just thinking. Okay. So I think Bindu, we were like, because we were doing so many of these, so I had to actually sit with my global CCO, and I actually asked them that, what do you do? Because it's so hard to judge sometimes. Like Gerety is one, there are other
yeah,
awards you're judging, and there are 300 to 400 entries sometimes, and you need to have a process, otherwise you go nuts. So what is the method to the madness? So they told me three things, that these are the three things that you look for, and that made my life really easy. And I normally do that with one criteria added from my side, right? So one first thing they say is noticeability, right? When you see this piece of work, do you think you'll notice it? Second is what is the impact, which Bindu you already covered, right? What is the impact? Strictly from creative point of view, I look at business. Maybe I don't so much, but I look at, what is the impact through this creative, depending on the kind of work that is. So I'd say noticeability, then impact, and the third thing that I look for is sustenance. That it shouldn't be okay a one-off. I did this idea and then bye bye, nothing follows. I feel like today when you do an idea in FCB, we there is a phrase for it. It's called never finished. So I see if the idea is never finished or not. So because if it's finished, then it's a one go. It's just a little less, it seduces me a little less than the ones that I see has the potential to carry on. So I would say noticeability, impact, and then sustenance or sustainability of that idea. The fourth thing that I add from my side, which I look for, is simplicity. I love copy that's simple. I love ideas that are simple, that are so simple they make me think, why didn't I think of it? It is so simple and it was just there, and it just looks like, oh, someone just grabbed it before I could. So I feel like that also really helps me. So in my mind, I have now I've learned it the hard way though, but I feel these four parameters in that order really really help me judge anything for that matter. And Gerety, I've already covered. I think the best thing that I loved about it is the fact that it's not just advertising or for women products or women centric advertising. It's a woman's point of view and on every kind of advertising. So that I think is a highlight for me for Gerety. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gazal, I think I left something for you.
No, to be very honest, I'll tell you what, that one point that you said, right, about keeping it really simple, I think
Yeah.
that is something even I look for in anything, because I'll tell you what, like when you're looking at an ad, if it's too complicated, it just misses the point, quite honestly. And when it's simple and the idea is just there, you just feel like, why the hell did I not
Yeah.
think of this? Like, I know exactly what you're saying. There are ads when I see them, I'm just like, damn it, like that's like the first thing. And I think the best thing about, like, judging all these is that you'll never really have, everybody is not going to like the same thing. At the end of the day, I think there is a reason why there are like so many people together judging different pieces of work. And the reason why is you need to come on a consensus that, okay, you know what, this is how you come to it. And I think that's what we've all done, because we all obviously did not have the same reaction to ads. Obviously there was some that, that in the first go it's so heartwarming
Yeah.
that, that's it. But
Yeah, like
otherwise we were debating, we were talking about it. And I think
Yeah.
that's the best part, like,
Yeah.
just talking about a piece of work. And if that piece of work can make you talk, then it does deserve something.
Hmm.
So I think for me, I think the talkability bit, the simplicity bit, and the insight bit is really, really important. So I look at these kind of parameters when I talk about it. Like, I'm going to be very honest, like, there was this one ad I had seen, and it was so funny. Trust me, like, it did not deserve anything. There was nothing to it. But just the fact that I still talk about it makes me wonder that if it was something that, could have won something. So it was about some food brand, which was a Thai ad. And the whole idea was this guy is just like, do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I know which one you're
It
talking
was
about.
a cheer fan. And oh my God, it confused the fuck out of me. I'm sorry I'm using it, but it was so funny. And I was like, did they just make an ad like this? It was so bizarre. This guy goes to a basketball match, and he's alone. And there's a couple standing right behind him, and basically they kiss. When the kiss cam comes on them, they zoom into his face, and then they show that when the couple behind him kissed, they dropped the beer on his head. The whole idea was that during COVID, people should stay at home and eat food, and should get a cheer fan in front of them so that they can cheers with like a drink in their hand and just drink and eat their food. That was the ad. And they had a series of these about how, like, being out can be dangerous, being out can be fatal to your life, being out can just be like, I don't know what, but it was so
Yeah, but
bizarre.
that brand is known for advertising like that.
I
They've
know, but
like that
it's,
forever. Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
the fact that, that's what I'm saying, like, something that makes you talk about. I
Yeah.
think it doesn't have to be like the like, the most emotional piece of work. It can be anything, but the fact that it can
Yeah.
make you talk about it is something very, very important. So yeah, for me, insights, keeping it very simple, and talkability. I think these three things is what I look in and when I'm judging it.
I kept thinking about Mumita, what you said, if ideas like are created in the brains of people or they are just out there and people grab them. I was wondering, or maybe the two.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like, you know how sometimes you just it happens to us that we're joking about it, an idea comes from there, right? Your the water cooler conversations
True. True.
lead to ads. And I think those are our most favorite ads because they're so real and they came out of a conversation. And there is a compelling simplicity to them. And I envy that. I envy people who work like that. I envy people who can just talk and bring an idea to life. I aspire to be people, I aspire to be like that. So I think that's something that I definitely look in an idea,
Mm.
look
And
for. Yeah.
talking about creativity and new technologies, how has your creative work changed with the development of new technologies? And especially all these debates around AI and is it
Yeah.
helpful? Is it harmful? What is your opinion on
Mm.
it?
So Gazal goes first now. Gazal.
Okay, to be honest, I think AI has just been the topic of conversation for the past 1 year. Everywhere I go, people are
Yeah.
just talking about that. And to be honest, I think it's great. I'm not saying it's bad, but at the same time, I don't know how authentic it is. So, for example, like a lot of people have been using Chat GPT, a lot of people have been using a lot of other softwares like Midjourney. Like Midjourney does a great job when it comes to, producing things, but Chat GPT, like you don't know the source at the end of it, so you're just like getting the information, but is that really valid? I don't know. So I won't say AI is the future right now, but I think in the next 10 years it can be, because it still needs a lot to go into it to make it authentic, because as much as people are using it, I don't think people are trusting it yet. And I know that AI is here to take people's jobs, but I think we're safe for the next couple of years. But I think, yeah, it is going to take over. Not yet. So, yeah, I think that's how it's impacting us.
Next couple of years is now. Should we look for a new job in like 2030 or something like
Next couple of years, yeah.
that?
No, but I think, you know what?
Uh-huh.
It's not even, I don't think it's going to be scary for us. I think it's the juniors who are going to suffer, to be
Hmm.
honest, because yeah, that's the base level of writing that it can do. The rest of it is, I think, pretty much, it needs to be verified and done by us at the end of the day. That's what I feel.
Amita,
Oh, me. Oh,
you
Oh,
yes.
we're
go.
going in
No,
reverse
no
order.
matter, no matter what, I'm still a second one. Okay, so
Oh.
which way we go? Okay, so I'm just going to be. Let me start with a joke, and then I'll get into the serious part. I read somewhere that AI can never take over, at least in advertising, because that requires the client to explain exactly what they want, and I think that's where we.
This
Uh,
is one thing we
Too
all are
good.
going to
I
Too
don't
totally,
good.
think.
I
totally
love
believe.
I
this.
don't.
I love this.
I don't think it's gonna happen. But yeah, I mean, just purely from how it impacts our life, right? Forget the client for a second, and I threw away the box, so now I can't say bring it back and say no, I still care about. Anyway, so I think that I think Ghazal is right when she says that the absolute entry level writers, I think are earlier the content writers or the copywriters who would only write emailers, or who would learn to write very basic promo copy, etc. I think slowly chat gpt and bards and of the world can take over and do that job, which basically means, Ghazal, if I were to like kind of think about it a little bit more, I feel like then if they were starting skilled, they were completely unskilled when they were joining the industry, they can't afford to be now. they need to know more than just writing that. I think they need to know a little bit more, because I always tell my writers that if you have something, use Chat GPT or Midjourney. Midjourney is, of course, art, but use it when you want to be efficient. If you feel that there is something that you don't want to use your time or energy on, then maybe use it as a tool, but don't depend on it yet. Because, like Gazal said, the authenticity, where it comes from. There was a case study about, so there was a lawyer in the US who used Chat,
Yeah.
and ChatGPT had given him like five cases to refer to, and they turned out to be fake cases. And that guy lost
Oh,
his license, and the bar like kicked him out or whatever, because he used ChatGPT for that. And it's too soon for that. What scares me is nothing really. Okay, honestly, nothing scares me, because I feel like it is still. I'm still going to run it. It's not really going to, like, when computers and internet and all of that happened. It's part of evolution. So when that happened, people did lose their jobs, and people did, you know, uh, that happened. But what scares me is the speed at which it's evolving.
yeah.
It took the
Yeah.
supercomputer, whatever, like 20 years to be made. But it takes Chat GPT like one day to get 10 times better than what it was yesterday. And
Yeah.
I feel that this lack of finiteness, if you know what I mean, I don't know where it stops or where it's headed. And that kind of, that uncertainty, because,
Uncertainty.
the human brain can only process things at a certain speed.
Yeah.
But if your brain can process at this speed, and Chat GPT is evolving at this speed, then
There is a gap.
keeping up of it. But I definitely feel that right now and for the next few years, I won't say in 2 years, Ghazal, that in 2, 3 years,
I don't
I
think
won't,
2, 3 years. I said in a
yeah,
next
I
few
don't think
years.
next, yeah, I mean, next couple of years, no, maybe in 10 years, I think it can take jobs for sure.
That's what I said. 10 years.
Yeah,
That's what I said.
10 years, it can take some jobs, which
Yeah.
is why I feel like it is even more important now to focus on leadership.
And
Because,
not even leadership.
yeah,
I also feel that people should start looking at different ways to approach
absolutely.
advertising,
Use it
because
as a
that's the
toolkit,
only way to, yeah.
upskill, and make it part of your skill.
Yeah.
And I'll go back to my joke that work on thinking of exactly what you want, and then you will get it out of.
Ah,
Yeah. So I feel like
yeah.
that.
I think evolution is
Interest-
happening everywhere. AI is also evolving.
Yeah, it is. It is at a strange speed. My God. Yeah.
I recently watched this movie about a kid who, like, a mother gives birth to it, but he's an AI who kind of, uh, takes over the entire world. He's like a 5-year-old kid, and he's basically going
Really?
through growing.
Oh, that's
I
every
don't
5 year
know.
old. I think
Huh?
AI, every 5 year old can
No, no,
own.
no. This is a movie. I recently watched it in the
Yeah.
theater, and I was just like, "What's happening, guys?" Like, seriously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's literally the topic of conversation everywhere, to be
Yeah, we should
honest.
move over to Bindu now. I want to hear her point of view.
Yeah.
Like, what is
Ah, no, now I can empathize with Ghazal,
See?
so yeah, so I know exactly what she's saying, So I was just thinking that you have a client who uses ChatGPT to make a brief to a advertising agency that uses ChatGPT to write copy, and it goes back to the consumer who's using ChatGPT, and probably not looking at all this. So where are we, in all this? I think it's a very funny, very we
It's
don't
a
know where
rabbit
we're going.
hole.
So yeah, it's a very I don't know, dystopian kind of world. But having said that, see right now we're all having fun with it. We all of us collectively can't take any decision or ban something or do any of those, because that's not going to happen. But individually, we are all trying to figure out where we stand and where this is. Let me just, because I am from the healthcare domain, I also want to bring that context here. See, in India, you look at, there are so many problems. So access is a problem, affordability is a problem. There are not enough doctors. The doctor-patient ratio is another, and it's abysmally low. Now
Yeah.
here you have a radiology. So we were working with a client in the US who's having a AI-based diagnostic technique where the AI can actually be trained to read X-ray images. And in UP and Bihar every year there are 6 lakh kids who die of pneumonia. Now pneumonia is so basic. It can be treated with an antibiotic, a simple
Yeah.
antibiotic, but diagnosis is late, and something like this can actually solve problems. It's a way of looking
Yeah.
at it. So probably we are looking at our clients as they exist now, and the technology which is new, and probably we're not able to find it coming together. But we can address a different set of problems. Maybe we don't need to do many of those things that we're doing now, and our creative mind can be used for elevating and reaching a different
Absolutely. I think this
space.
deserves an applause.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
No,
So that's
absolutely right. Bindu. Yeah.
What you're saying is absolutely right. Like,
Yeah.
using AI in the right way can be so, so, so useful.
Yeah, and I
and
Absolutely.
didn't,
yeah,
I was honestly, Bindu, I was avoiding the use of AI everywhere else. I was only talking about how
yeah,
AI
yeah,
can
yeah,
be used in
yeah. Correct.
advertising. But one of my friends who's now a director, used to be, creative director. He said that, what he's doing is he's trying to work on, earlier when we'd make films, we'll go to the post team, and when we do online, and when we'll start doing VFX, and we'll start doing, it used to take, we used to have those, I don't know if how many people still know about it, but we had a machine called Maya, and we had a machine called Smoke. And on
Mhm.
Smoke, on Maya, you would do your color grading, and it'll take forever to grade one frame. And from there, now the technology has come where, with Final Cut Pro and After Effects and everything, you do it in a few seconds. Now with AI, that process will take half a day, which basically means that you can increase your
Yeah,
efficiency. Right
Mm.
now, the
right.
same guy who was operating Smoke or Maya has now moved to After Effects, can then move to AI as well. So it's not like,
Yeah,
we are. So we need to look at it
Positively.
differently.
positively,
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah,
and you're absolutely right. Maybe there are certain things in creativity that we haven't attained, and we will once we have these
yeah,
basic things out of the way, because ChatGPT is going to take care of it. So
yeah, yeah.
Just
Yeah,
one thing, like you said, right? Like, in healthcare specifically, like, how you spoke about AI kind of helping and treating people, at least diagnosing it. But I think the other thing also, the problematic part is, like, on Google, like, a lot of people just, search
hmm,
like for 20,000 things, like, and that can
yeah,
really lead to a lot of problems. So using
right.
AI,
Yeah,
like, in the most accurate way, and using it, because that's also going to happen, right? Eventually people will start asking AI, what are these symptoms, what is going to happen to me, and that can be very
yeah,
tricky. So those
yeah,
things, obviously. But yeah, having said that, like, we need to just be sure that things
yeah.
are done in the right
Yeah,
way.
so the thing is, yeah, you're right, but so AI as different from, so you look at algorithmic kind of diagnosis where, so when you look at Google, it's a question answer, and you're asking something and you're getting answers, whereas here you're training. So the advantage is that you're training the AI radiology with actual annotations from a radiologist. So
Yeah, yeah,
learning and
that is
improving. So
absolutely.
yeah, you're right, but you're right. There is always an ethical question there, and there are ethical risks
Yeah,
involved in this, definitely. But I think, yeah. Having said that, in countries, in our country, there are a lot of problems that need solving. So maybe we all can do things that can really can make a greater impact.
yeah.
Yeah, so
But AI
clearly
is
we
the
are
future.
only starting with AI, and there's going to be lots of things happening. Let's hope for the best. And I want to thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your thoughts, your ideas, your life, your careers. Thanks also for being part of the Gerety jury this year. And all the best in all the projects that you carry on in the coming months.
Thank you.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.